Ertugrul Taciroglu is a professor and chair of the Civil and Environmental Engineering Department at the University of California. He joins us now from Los Angeles. Prof, it's really good to speak to you here on TRT World. Your research at the moment is studying soil structure interaction. Now, if we have to look at a province like Hatay in southern Türkiye, it had the highest death toll from these earthquakes. Do the soil factors in that area make a difference to the number of buildings that collapsed there?
Well, I cannot say that I've specifically studied that particular area, but given that I'm from Turkey and I have some knowledge about the area, I believe, Çukurova, Hatay, those places are full of alluvial soils. And when you have soft soils, there will be some amplification effects. Also, from what I've seen so far in reports, the way the seismic faults have sort of ruptured, I believe there were some directivity effects which amplified the motions experienced in that area, in that particular area.
When you talk about directivity effects, what does that mean exactly? Just for those of us not really familiar with those types of terms.
Right, so you have tectonic faults and they will rupture and slide against each other. And when that sliding occurs, you have waves propagating perpendicular to the fault line and then along the fault line. And those waves that go along the fault line will be generally very dangerous. And they will be in the direction of the fault. And I believe Hatay, Antakya, that region was particularly affected by that effect.
So when the government starts rebuilding, and that's expected to begin in March, what key points are they going to have to keep in mind when starting construction on buildings that will be able to withstand earthquakes and other natural disasters?
Well, I think the engineering know-how for identifying the right sites for building structures and building proper foundations, as well as building proper superstructures, those are known. So they'll just have to follow the best engineering practices. I don't think there are any mysteries regarding how to build earthquake resilient structures on any type of soil. In fact, even on soft soils, you can build strong structures, but then you'll have to pay the extra funds to perhaps build foundations with piles and such. But of course, if you want to be cost effective, you'd rather want to be building on stronger soils and sites, such as rock sites. But I'm sure every solution is available, and with proper engineering oversight, any kind of structure can be rebuilt in the region.
And Professor, after these two earthquakes, there are many people in Turkey who are trying to prepare for an earthquake when it was something that perhaps wasn't top of mind. And many people are asking, if you're in a building, especially if it is in the early hours of the morning or late at night when most people would be sleeping, what is the safest place to be? Would you rather be on the ground floor or several floor ups? Is any area safe, really?
This is truly outside my expertise area. For that, you'd have to talk to first responders. From what we're seeing, obviously, it is easier perhaps to extract people from the higher floors than lower floors. And perhaps some of the best things to do is to maybe just roll next to your bed and try to find some cavity if there's a collapse happening. But these are not the things really we should be thinking about. What we should be thinking about is whether you are living in a safe structure already or not. And if you are not, what could you do as a resident of that structure? In Turkey, in particular, any structure that was built prior to 2000s would be suspect. Before then, our codes were deficient, at least to a degree, and those structures will probably be very vulnerable, and this is what we're seeing in Turkey. And of course, due to negligence of some contractors, maybe even some of the structures built after the year 2000 will be vulnerable. But then, this is, I think, where the government oversight comes into play. These types of practices should be prohibited, carefully observed, and eliminate it. So while it's important to think about how to survive an earthquake in a deficient building, I think it is far more important to understand whether the building you are currently in is actually deficient or not. And if it is, you have to do something about it.
Well, what can you do about it? I mean, there are many people, I think of Istanbul alone, where you're living in a building that was definitely built before 1999. What can you do if you're living in one of those buildings, or do you just have to move?
It is true that this is a socio-technical problem. This is not an easy solution. There's not an easy solution. If there was an easy solution, we would have already figured that out, I guess. So in this particular case, the government and the society have to work hand in hand and come up with solutions. We have to abandon these older structures, retrofit them, or rebuild them, and live in safer structures. There's no question about it. There's no other solution.
Okay, Professor Ertugrul Taciroglu, live to us there from Los Angeles. Thank you so much for speaking to us and your expertise on this matter. Thank you.